connection, and free to be authentic in wonder, and the opportunity to get to choose it.
Uh-huh.
Nice, Will.
Yeah, it's just looking at our words of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I was also, what came up was just the generosity of you, Jesse, and how you create this space for everyone. It's just very honorable and kind and generous on your part to create this space, and it's a beautiful thing that you've created for all of us. So we're grateful, or I'm grateful. I'm sure we all are.
I second that.
I third it.
Well, we got to vote then.
Boom.
Well, thank you. I'm glad like that is a repercussion of this. Like I'm glad like that's like a secondary purpose, right? Because I like if I did it for you, the days you didn't show up, I'd have been pissed.
Yeah.
That's where you started.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was like I don't want that, right? So I can't do it for you. I'm grateful that you guys show up to do it with me because I don't want to do it alone.
Mhm.
That's why it works.
That's how we expand our perspective and share in our love.
Yeah, let's connect.
And contribute just by being here and adding the intention to the space. It is contribution.
Mhm. I didn't understand the power of silence, nor could I see it alone. I could only see it working with others because our tendency is not to be silent with others.
Mm.
So, so I thank you.
How's your packing going, Bill? Oh, that good.
Silent.
No, there
Oh.
was a laugh. The laugh said it all. Don't think there was no silence. There was a laugh and it said it all.
Yeah.
Uh, I before I got on, I said, okay, this is the way I'm gonna attack it. And I made a list of what I was gonna do in one room to attack this room. But things got a little debunked because I had my essentials at my brother's place, and this is my brother-in-law's place. Um,
Now, Sandrell, can I pause you for just 1 second?
sure.
Sure. So I'm going to point to the word attack. And what has to happen in attack?
Um, so I'll identify that as that what I'm learning is my hyperachiever. And it's for me to aggressively get something done in a compact amount of time, very efficiently.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
um, but
No,
it's also me. Thank you for bringing that up so that I can remove that energy and just have a very clear focus of operation that is aligned with my intentions. Thank you.
Mm.
But here it's like what I triggered with is with the attack means there's a fight. So there's a fight between something. So it's like, oh, you were just starting to describe the fight.
Yeah. What's that
Yeah.
about?
So it's like, oh, I want to win, but then I also need a fight. And it's like, oh, here's that problem solving in structure in action, this oscillating structure in action. Because just because my intention is to attack it.
Mm, I'm going to watch out for that. Yeah, I'll watch out for that.
And again, all I am sharing like that, all it is that's how I am triggered, or that's my meaning of attack.
Mm-hmm.
It's just mine. Doesn't mean you hold it the same way or that you have to. Thank you. I surrender.
Mm. I surrender too. Both hands up. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Because you can do things with different and still so one of the questions that lingers in some of the work I'm doing is how to make the journey more compelling. And we don't always realize that we're on, even though we're on this journey that we choose to take, are we taking it in the most compelling way? Or are we making it a fight? So thank you for that awareness. Thank you. Um, so what was the question? So my brother-in-law, he came home, but his medical assistance team did not start. And we were working on them starting. Unfortunately, he took ill because he didn't have the proper support, and I ended up having to put him back in the hospital. So I didn't want to stay in the house, um, particularly not just because he wasn't there, but because I had so much I could do back at my place. And so I ended up and I didn't know what his family would do or what would happen with the housing or anything. So I just cleaned up the place, took all my stuff out. And it's funny, I was able to fit all my essential stuff in the trunk of my very big trunk of a Lincoln Town car. And I came back to my place and I said, okay, woosah, let's reset and reestablish. And looking at my options of different courses of actions that I need to take, whether he comes back home or not, just gave me so much activity to investigate and consider. And I haven't settled on anything in particular yet. But out of all of that, I miss the piece of painting. I have not painted in 4 weeks now. And I'm like, I wonder, that's that's what I want to do. But there are things I need to spend time doing. But this weekend I presume that I will pick up the paintbrush and just exhale. So I got some information yesterday that gives me a little more time. And so I'm going to allow myself to sit in some silence and see what's aligning for me and in my best interest. Yeah.
Sounds like you have more than enough emotion right now to make a couple of great paintings.
I didn't hear the end of some of your words. Can you say that again?
Sounds like you have more than enough emotions right now to make a couple of great paintings. Really
Mm,
put your emotion into the paintings.
mm, hmm. Yeah. And there are some images I would like. And I'm listening. I planted some seeds from the dollar store, like at the beginning of summer. And I had like 5 pots because I wanted to see flowers when I opened my front door. And I declare like nothing, nothing came out of them pots but weeds. And then like eventually like I got like one flower here and one flower there. But if I didn't open my door in the morning, I noticed I wasn't like really seeing the bloom of the flower. Because I can get engrossed and be in the house and getting things done like a lot of the day. But I do like opening the door first thing in the morning and sitting outside and having coffee or whatever. But long story short, is now that I'm leaving, I've got these beautiful blooms of flowers coming out of 2 of the pots, and they're called morning glories. So they open up beautifully in the morning, and as the day wanes, they close up. So I was like, now you're blooming. So they kind of welcome me to just be in surrender and be still and be home wherever I am. And I remember embracing them so much more one particular morning. I was saying, like, okay, this is a sign from the universe. Show me more. Show me more.
And what did you get?
I got it will unfold.
Yeah. Good. It wasn't resolved yet. Nice.
Mm-mm.
Hmm. So our words are wonder, authentic, choice. Sindra, what would you wrap your word into?
Mm. Peace.
Mm.
Freedom was the one that came right to the top for me.
Mm.
I'm going to share that with you.
Thank you. Mm.
I need to scoot off of here, but I want to say thank you to everybody for being here and being you and your authentic self.
Mm. You too,
I
Mona.
always
Great.
take away something from here when I come.
Mm.
You have a blessed day, Mona.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mona.
Thank you
You
for
guys
having
Wonderful.
us,
have a
Mona.
blessed day and a blessed evening as well.
You sound
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Bye.
So do
Bye,
y'all.
Bye.
Mona. Bye, Mona.
Bye.
Bye.
Until we meet again. Peace.
Thank you. Bye, Sandrell.
Well, Annette, has all those big trucks then moved from your street after 4.5 years now, since you said the last time we spoke that they were almost done with the last house?
Yes. So two big giant trucks showed up on 2 days ago and they unloaded all the furniture. So these people have officially moved it. And they actually laid sod down and hopefully all the dirt is now done.
Ooh,
Be a
must
little
be
more
nice.
quiet.
It's quiet now.
Yeah,
For
must be
now,
nice after
yes.
4.5 years and finally, oh, I sit on my porch not seeing those big construction trucks.
No, but I'm sure because what's already has shown up with the other new homes, there's a lot more traffic on our road, especially on the
Oh.
weekend, because people want to visit people in new homes, right?
Yeah.
And they'll have barbecues and whatnot. There's the newest, like one of the first homes was a little over 2 years ago, and they're still getting company of people coming to have a look at their house. So
Whoa.
the street gets congested with parking. Like I said, originally there was 4 lots that they made into 5. So it's just getting used to that. And I know my son is bothered by it. I'm not so much bothered by it, but I have to wonder how some of the other neighbors that have been here on the street as long as we have, if it irks them. But then, then what is the issue? Right? Is it the cars or is it something else?
Hmm. Some may be jealous of not having that much company come visit them.
Could be. Could be. Or disturbing of a pattern that they enjoy.
Yeah.
And see how easy it is for that neighbor to say, oh, it's them.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And that resolves, like you're stuck in that. If that's as deep if that's as shallow as you can go, you're going to be stuck in it.
Hmm.
It's interesting how people feel that they can lay blame on other things because it's easy then, but they can also say things to other people and feel it's okay to say some things. And some things are very abusive too, publicly abusive. And it could also be privately too, but it's that entitlement that you're in my space,
Mm-hmm.
and not to think that maybe they're in that person's space too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How big is the space? Well, mine's from here to the end of the street.
Mm-hmm. That's right. As much as you thought you owned the rest of it, huh?
Yes.
As that was where your kids grew up and they learned the nature. It was like, oh, you could
Yes.
call that your space.
Correct. Yes, because they had that whole bush lot to have an adventure in. Listen to
But it
every
was,
morning.
and it was, and it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, as I remember, your son is creating a new bush lot in your backyard.
Oh, yes. Yes, we have a lot of trees that grew a lot this year. So it's, they'll be looking for homes, I hope, next year.
Mm.
Yes. So we're going to
Well,
work away at
probably
that
a
this
lot of the neighbors would like a great tree to have in the front yard to remember. Well, we got this a year after we moved in, and we just have to move it from the other side of the street to here.
Yes. Yeah. I know he's got a couple sold to a farmer. He needs some trees in a pasture. So that's nice. So he's going back out into expansive nature. So that'll be good.
It's good he's giving back to nature.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Nature needs it.
Yes.
Imagine where they were logging wood, that every time they took down one of the big trees, they would plant 3 new trees. Well, in 20, 40 years, they could start logging again. They could sort of move around in the same space over 40 years.
Yeah.
Instead of taking new spaces, new spaces, new spaces. But they didn't think that far.
I haven't heard your bird lately, Heinz.
Oh, when there was a eclipse, she died.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, she was old ever since Christmas. She's been sort of in the bottom of the cage and not
Hmm.
really moving around it. She was in a lot of pain, but birds don't give up. For some reason, they'll keep fighting till the end. And I thought tomorrow will be the day each day, but then on the night of the eclipse, the next morning, I went in and she lied there.
Hmm.
So she was waiting for the eclipse to travel home with that one.
Was that the solar eclipse then that we had in
Yeah.
the summertime? Okay.
Yeah, the solar eclipse you had over in the
Mhm.
US. We didn't experience it here.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, that was just a few days ago, wasn't it? Like out over the
lunar.
Pacific.
Yeah, we had a lunar eclipse, right?
I think it was, they called it an annular eclipse or something like that. I
Oh.
don't even know what that means.
Okay, I thought it was a lunar eclipse, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, but it was the first one, the solar eclipse back in what?
Oh,
March.
you mean the one earlier this year?
Yeah, April, I think it was.
Oh,
Beginning
okay.
of April.
Yeah.
So I got two triggers. One was how we can claim a space to be in and get comfortable with it, and because we choose that space and we settle in that space, we maneuver from that space. That space is home. But it's like how we don't have control about what happens in a distance of across the street. When I moved to, in my current neighborhood, there was a road that I would take to get to the park. And down that road were a line of houses on the right-hand side. And on the left, it was just beautiful, thick brush. And over the years, some development plans changed that scenic view. And when I would take the ride to the park, the neighbors would be outside with signs and walking the street and protesting, don't cut the brush, don't cut the brush. And now when I go down that road as emphatically as they protested and was grumbling and not liking what was happening, I was like, these people bought these homes for a certain kind of solace, for a certain kind of comfort because of the brush. But yet they didn't control the brush area. But you wouldn't think you'd have to control nature. You could just enjoy it. And so they've been there 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And I'm looking at the aging of these people that live in these houses. And now when they come out on their porches to pick up their paper or cut their yard, it's no longer the brush. It's a big, big, immensive educational high school facility.
Oh
I'm
my.
like, wow. So you think as your years are winding and you think you've got everything set in place how you want it, for that peace, for that comfort, for that familiarity, that now it's a whole bunch of high school kids and buses and this architect of just not homeliness, not of trees and not of the brush. And some of them may move and some of them may just surrender, or maybe it doesn't really bother them. Maybe they're glad that there's some actual sound of children across the street,
Mm.
but it's still a massive change than what they bargained for when they bought their homes. Things change. So like, what do you do? Where do you go? You change, or you change your place. Now the same kind of stuff happens when I remember growing up, like it was called moving into a better neighborhood, in a better neighborhood. But there was this migration of where was the better neighborhoods. It was in the Jewish part of town, the Caucasian part of town, where the population was predominant for that. But as more and more people of color and ethnicity moved into these neighborhoods because they could, now afford the schools and, the environment of it, other people moved out. So, I mean, change just changes. So I think like Annette, like, you know, where will you go? Will you go someplace that offers the same kind of serenity that you initially moved into when you moved in that neighborhood? Will you look for that kind of environment? Because everybody's got a right to choose, where they want to be. But what happens when where you want to be changes?
The bush lot was a big selling point for the real estate agent at the time, because they knew that, it's back to nature and all this kind of stuff. Even though we had looked at other homes on the street, that was
Mhm.
the appealing part. And I remember the real estate agent talked, because myself and my husband both grew up on farms. So that
Mm,
was a selling tactic that was used for us. And when we moved in, my dad said, there's a bush across, because I was talking about the bush. He says, remember, the bush is there, but one day it will be down and there will be homes,
mm,
because it was surrounded by homes.
mm,
And I had already talked to the gentleman that had owned that bush lot, because there was an old farmhouse there, and he lived in. And he says, as long as he's alive, it's going to remain as a bush, because the town needs to have bush, like greenery within.
mhm.
And anyways, he passed away, and obviously it just was sold after that. So we knew something one day would happen. What we didn't know was how long the transition would take place, and the mess that would be created and the chaos that would be created during that
Mm,
time. Um, Chaos in the sense of like constant activity, not that it was a negative thing, but
mhm.
it's eventually, as Heinz said, it described that it was finally almost over, right? I'm tired of that, just the constant dirt. It was the dirt mainly. The noise of they were very respectful. They didn't come before 7 o'clock, and they were usually wrapped up and out by 4:30, 5 o'clock. And on a Friday, it was earlier, typically. So, it's so they were respectful as far as time goes, but there's bylaws for that. It But it's nice to have peace and quiet again, in the sense that we don't have that. If I wanted to have that noise, I'd live by a factory so I can listen to that noise all the time.
Some people like noise. Some people
Yes, some do. Some do. That type of sound, give me a little bit of it, I can tolerate it, but it's something, 4.5 years is a long time to live with it. And it's
Yeah, it is a lot.
yeah. I'm looking forward to quiet. But at the same time, you buy a place and your neighbors are great. They pass away or have to move. New people move in, and then before you know it, you have a pool on either sides and pool parties every weekend at your place on either side of you. So that's something we didn't ask for when we moved in here either, right? So it's you can't. They're making their space. I have to respect that. But then it's like, how do you tell them that, with a pool party on either side of you, I don't have my quiet enjoyment anymore?
Mm.
So this year I didn't go out into my backyard very much. I didn't sit outside very much, except in the mornings or in the middle of the afternoon when they were at work.
Mm.
So we adjust.
Mm.
My dogs are quiet. The one didn't even realize we had dogs for a while.
Wow,
Tells
I
you
want
how
you to be
often-
my neighbor.
Well,
You're
I
like
have
a dream
two.
neighbor.
I have two Malamutes, and
Wow.
they do talk. So yes, when there's sirens going, the male, he'll howl with
Yeah.
sirens. But otherwise they're quiet.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what they're like, right? They're beautiful. They're beautiful dogs. That was my dad's favorite dog.
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful dogs.
Very intelligent too. Eh?
Oh goodness, yes. Yes. I think our youngest one, the female, has thumbs. She gets into so much.
Yeah, when it comes to neighbors, that's definitely a tough one because it it actually feels like it detracts from your choice when people are going to do what they do. And if they're more on the extroverted side and they're not about quiet peace and quiet enjoyment, they're about parties and extroverted noise and gatherings, and like nothing against that, nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it's just different choices that people are making, and that's the challenge with neighbors is you don't have choice in that matter of what other people choose. So you might have preferences, just like they have preferences. So yeah, that's the challenge when you're like I can relate so much to your story because of having been through it a lot in recent years myself, and enjoying the peace and quiet and just really choosing peace and wanting peace, and having neighbors that are very noisy and being on a noisy street, and it's just like really goes against the grain of my choices. So yeah, and then not just that, but also having a neighbor across the street who I'm pretty sure is quite likely a drug addict and goes out on garbage runs every night, and there's garbage piling up. And anyways, I don't want this to go into a complaint session, but it's just like we have choice, and sometimes other people's choices really affect your right to make choice, and it's a sad reality of life sometimes.
Sometimes their choices affect the outcome of your choices.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's not that you want to give your power away to other people. It's just we affect each other whether we realize it or not.
Mhm.
And there's those that care about how the impact that they have on others, and there's those that sure don't seem to.
So then comes a question of what are you observing as what is?
Yeah.
And are you editing it to something that it isn't?
Mm.
What it is, it depends on your perspective also, how you
Yeah.
choose to look at
Yeah.
And your preference.
it.
It's like want peace and quiet, and quiet enjoyment, which is technically a right and a law here in Canada, and usually in municipalities that's it's in their laws, bylaws. Try enforcing that. Good luck with that. The more you try to enforce it, the worse it gets. So can't force it.
Well, that's the easy solution. Hearing aid, what the ones you use on construction places, just put them on. You'll have all the peace and quiet you want.
I have to say little story an umpire told me who wears hearing aids. He was umpiring a game and a coach came out and started complaining. He pulled his hearing aids out of his ears, put them in his palm of his hands, put the palm of his hands in front of the man and says, "Go ahead and talk to them." Anyway, I thought that was just a funny story just to add into this right now. So it's what do we choose to listen to?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. Eh?
And sometimes we think we have no power
Mm.
over other people's choices. So I learned there's a thing called lien abatement. And so, like, if your neighbor doesn't cut their yard and it's an eyesore, you can actually file with the county or the municipality, whatever jurisdiction, a notice. And that also goes like if a neighbor has like a lot of junk piling up and it's an eyesore, you can file against it. And I think you can do it anonymously as well. And you can also have a petition of neighbors to do it. It's one of the um, real estate investor tactics to process that lien in the neighborhood by just having the form and the neighbor signing it and filing it um, in order to get the lien actually established on that eyesore property or that noisy property. Um, and it brings it to the attention of the city council, and it also helps say like this is what this neighborhood is about. If you want to be here, this is, we cut out grass, we're quiet after 10 o'clock, and we need to comply with those things. So but sometimes people, we may not know of those options. We think we just have to tolerate stuff.
Sindril, so thank you for sharing that. So we just to answer that, we've been talking to bylaws for years about this, in addition to other neighbors south of us who have threatened to kill us on multiple occasions, have been charged, are on probation now, and gone through court, falsely accused me of things, had me arrested, and
Wow.
I had to pay lawyers' fees to get that thrown out because it was total fabrication. And then now this guy across the street, it's been years of just psychotic behavior, just like clearly there's some kind of psychological psychosis going on or something. And I dropped a picture in the chat there. But this has been an ongoing thing for years. We've been talking to bylaws about it for years. Police, there's countless police files. There's countless files with bylaws. Even the fire department and other authorities, even the health authority is looking into it. So basically, we've been going to every possible authority possible. He's received probably like I don't even know how many thousands of dollars worth of fines for this,
Wow.
and he keeps doing it, and he's getting worse.
Wow.
And he's threatened us on camera in the middle of the night, like 6 a.m. in the morning in the darkness, threatening, yelling at our house, calling me out by name. I don't even know this guy. I don't even like. All I know is his name is Jordan. That's all I know about him, other than his insanity and how it shows up. So, like, this has been an ongoing thing for years, and we've gone to every authority. And finally, my wife, Natasha, the other day, she contacted, I think, the local newspaper, because a friend was like, well, if the authorities aren't going to do anything, just contact the media, like contact the local paper or something like that, and let them know what's been going on. And so she did that. And we start getting calls like the next day or two from like the police, the head of the bylaw department shows up yesterday, and we're chatting with him. He's like, yeah, no, this is blown up. Like, they put an article in one of the newspapers, local newspapers, and it's blown up on Facebook and blah blah blah. So I think my wife also sent emails to the mayor's office and everything. So she's just fed up. Like, we're all fed up, but there's been a lot of complaints. I think there's like something like 26 different complaints to bylaws from local residents, and it's getting traction on Facebook, I guess. So something is happening, but so far it's like kind of behind the scenes. The authorities here are just kind of figuring out how to approach this, because they also got to cover their own butt. Because if they don't handle it properly, it's gonna backfire in their faces, and people could lose their jobs or be accountable. So it's because there's so many protection laws in place that you can't just go onto someone's property or enter their property without them allowing you to. It's very, very challenging to deal with this. So
Wow.
yeah, but it's basically a nightly thing. He goes on a garbage run nightly.
Just looking at it, it must be dangerous on the 4th of July with all the rockets coming down. That big tart can catch fire very easily. Just a little wind.
Yeah, the bylaw officer yesterday let us know that the fire department has an action plan. Like, they have an order to just douse, like absolutely saturate the place, because he's collected so many pallets. The backyard is absolutely full of garbage and pallets and junk, and that's why it's all spilling out into the front yard now, because he's collected so much garbage. It's actually filled up the RVs, it's filled up the cars that are all unlicensed and unregistered or whatever. And he goes out and he steals stuff like almost every day and brings back a different bike, stolen some kid's bike probably. It's disgusting, and I don't know how he's gotten away with it for this many years. It's just been years and years and years. So yeah, so it's frustrating, and you can air your grievances to the authorities, but it's like their hands are just shackled. The laws are so protective of people, which is good that we have human rights, but at the same time, there's also laws for municipalities. There's bylaws, and when those actions affect others and the laws aren't being respected, like he's probably got like tens of thousands of dollars worth of fines on his property. So if he ever sold, which he'll never sell, and like who's going to be stuck with those fines? because they have to be paid before the house can be sold.
Mhm.
And we want to sell, we want to leave, but we just look at it like, well, no one's going to buy because of these insane people that are surrounding us. Yeah, it's. I know you're chuckling at a discomfort, maybe, but this has been a real difficult situation for a real stressful and difficult situation for like 3 years now, and
I could imagine.
sorry to
I
come
could
across
imagine.
like I'm complaining. It's just
Nope.
No,
you
it's
do
a
what you can, right? There's all,
Mm.
and that's kind of why.
It's like you say, there are laws
You got
protecting.
it good. You got
And
it good.
he's probably, like you said, a human being who's protected by doctor laws because he has some issues in his life, so he's protected by different laws than house laws.
Mm. That's a lot to contend with. You can't even sell your property because of the eyesore of his property.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's going to buy with someone like that out there with his shirt off, like chasing cars down the street and like lunging at cars as they drive past and yelling and cursing in the middle of the night and banging on things all throughout the night, and like, I don't know. Unless you're a Hell's Angel that is going to like clean up the neighborhood, I don't, or a gang member, I don't see that a normal person would buy with someone like that nearby.
Wow.
It's sad
So,
that
yeah.
one person can make the whole neighborhood go down.
Yeah. Even the people next to us who tormented us and harassed us and bullied us for years, even they're have actually kind of cleaned up their yard and are quieter now. They still break the laws in many ways, and we do our best to hold them accountable, because they will never stop. That's just who they choose to be. But yeah, even their yard is clean now, and it's quieter there. Whereas before it was, they tormented us and the whole neighborhood, but they were targeting us. So it's nice that they're kind of simmered down now, which is really, really nice. I'm grateful for that. But now this guy is just like almost every day, the insanity just, it's very in your face.
Mm.
Yeah. And complaining doesn't really resolve it. That's why I'm like, I gotta focus on my choices.
Yeah, that's a lot to contend with.
It's sad when people lose their own self-respect because they don't respect anybody.
Yeah, sorry for the ventilation there, but thank you. Thank you for
Everybody needs
giving me the
everybody needs
space to
to
share.
ventilate. And it just shows all of us that we are not the only ones living with crazy people around us. Somewhere there's always, you'll always find one or two of them wherever we move. There will always be some of them.
Yeah. And it's their normal. That's normal for them.
Yeah.
It may not be legal, it may not be culturally acceptable, but it's their normal. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that the laws now have shifted so that drug addicts have more rights than, to practice that. And those rights, they have the right
Yeah,
to
but
choose that. And that's their choice. And I guess in the same respect, I got to respect that's the choice that he's making. It affects the whole neighborhood, unfortunately, but that's also his right as a human to choose that, even though it's very disrespectful and damaging to himself and others, you know. It helps to kind of come to a little bit of neutrality about it, you know, just recognizing that.
Because when you do that, it'll resolve quicker.
Surrender.
Probably not the way you would expect it, and not in the timeline you want.
Yeah.
That's the importance of neutral. And neutral is like what I spoke about earlier, just like with what is, right? And like you doing your best with what is. Yeah. It's like you're learning to be neutral with some of the, like rock, I call it rock bottom, right? It's like, oh, wonder what I'm going to learn today.
Yeah.
Yay. Yay.
Thank you, Jesse.
Right?
Oh, thank you. Man. Appreciate that. Yeah. That's it.
At some point, you're going to get out of this, right? At some point.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
And it will be worse at some point too. Again, right? It's going to get to there'll be another worse point. Just a different. It'll be just different worse.
Another worse
A
point.
different worse point.
A different worse. So like the good news is not the same worse. It's just a different worse.
Yeah.
It's
like
just opening space for something that's better.
Yeah. Better, worse.
It just like we were talking about earlier, it just depends on which side of the wave are you on. Is it going down or is it going up?
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are the only two places we can spend most of our time. We don't spend a lot of time at the top or the bottom.
Yeah, that's true.
It's always in between. That's where the most area, the most space is always in between.
So if you hit the bottom, it's the only way is back up now.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. I hope I've hit bottom.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, yeah, like
you don't want to find a new bottom.
Oh man. There's got far too many stories about rock bottoms.
Yeah.
I don't want the next one to be greater than all the rest, you know.
Well, a higher low.
Yeah.
You don't want a lower low. You want a higher low.
Exactly.
If you have to have a low at all.
Yeah.
So I can't help but think about the question, because I had some real radical neighbors around me, and they used to rattle me, like rattle my nerves. They're gone now, and it's, I don't even think about what I used to feel like coming home. But at the same time, it's like, do I cultivate more of me that I want to be regardless of them? It's like, what is this here to teach me? Who am I being? Am I being a victim? And like nothing looks different. I get in my car, I go where I go, I come back, I park, I come home in the house, right? But what is it doing to me inside with my perspective of their presence? And, I had to really be aware of that. So that you're going to be scared coming home every day. Your nerves going to get frazzed every day. And for the longest time, when I turned into my, the block before I turned into my street, I would call like one of my kids or a friend and say, look, I'm getting ready to go in the house. So you're going with me on the phone. just to make sure I got in okay. I mean, I needed that emotional support for a while until I built up my own resiliency again. And then a few times I forgot to call anybody. But I said, I'm okay. I'm okay. I didn't feel those triggers. And so then I worked on cultivating more of that for myself. Um, and it was a long haul. It was over a year, definitely. And you know what? They're gone now. And it taught me, or what I want to believe that it taught me, that the perspective that I choose to be taught is that no matter where I am or what's around me, to be more of me, who I choose to be. And some of that stuff has to grow up in me. So it's like, I still don't want to be confronted with people that are, you know, culturally antagonistic. I don't want to be around those kind of people.
Yep.
But if I can be more of me, then I help create the environment too. Instead of cowarding, for me, it was like cowarding down to their energy, like their energy was more important and stronger than mine. But it let me know where mine wasn't. Like, it's like, grow that up, girl. You got to grow that up. And I was to the point, my daughter sees me. She says, you didn't call me and tell me you were coming in, because she has me on her. She can see where I am all the time. So she said, you in the house? Okay. So she kind of got accustomed to me calling. My son got accustomed to me calling. And I don't call as much anymore. So, we, no matter where we are on the spectrum of things, we do create our environment. And it's just like, I wouldn't want to live across the street from that guy, but it's like, what are you here to teach me? It's like, can I get this lesson already? I'm tired of this book.
Yep. Thank you, Sandrell. That's awesome.
You're awesome. I can't imagine you and your wife waging and growing resiliency to this situation.
Well, that in addition to other things has almost destroyed our marriage.
Oh,
Nice to move so that we can have our own life and rekindle our marriage, which is our choice. But will that happen before it's completely destroyed? It would be nice, but I do feel very powerless in this situation, which doesn't help.
I got an ugly question. That guy across the street and all his mayhem, does he have power over the cultivation of love in your heart? Did we give him the power of our love? Did we give him the power of not seeing what we want to see with what we have in our own home? Did we give him all that power?
Well, what I see there is he's suffering. He's in pain and he's suffering, and he's acting out based on his own internal conflicts, and that's how it's manifesting. And so rather than push against it, even just energetically, like psychologically and energetically, rejecting that, that's going to be felt.
But you said it's like nearly it's been a strong element there of destroying your marriage.
Yep. Well, and that this is just one thing. Like, it's a really long list of things that are just destroying everything. So, like, he's just one neighbor. The other neighbors, it was 2.5 years of absolute torment.
Mm.
And it's also affected us financially and spiritually and emotionally, and yeah. And, the finger gets pointed at the husband.
Because
All my
you
fault.
control other adult people outside of your household.
No, just like anyways.
Yes, a lot.
I don't want this to turn into a complaint session, because like what I realized through all of this is, where's the power? Like I
Yeah.
give my power away constantly to outside circumstances, and it irks me and it bothers me. And that's the structure that is also manifesting this experience.
Well,
And until I shift that inner structure, the outside will stay the same.
well, I want to thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
When you talk about it, you're actually confronting it more than just going with it inside your own head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you for giving me the safe space to even just share this, as much as I don't want to share something that is the only word I can come up with is disgusting. It's but that's clearly his environment. His home environment is a reflection of what's going on inside him, and it's actually sad when I really view it objectively and remove the emotion. And if anything, I should probably be praying for someone like that rather than resisting his like how he's being and how he's showing up, rather than pushing against it. That's reality. I can't fight reality, because reality wins, like Byron Katie says, 100% of the time. So if I had maybe some more compassion and understanding, not make it about me, it's this guy is suffering, and have some compassion, maybe that'll shift things. Yeah.
I'll have to take this call. I hope to be back.
Okay. This shall live forever on YouTube.
Well, it will also live forever in the collective. So
Yeah, I look at human wars as a reflection of what's going on inside people. And if I'm going to war inside, like resisting and rejecting this human being who is a child of God, if I'm rejecting them and pushing against them energetically, like, how dare they, and like all these thoughts and feelings and resistance, that's a war. That's an inner war. And then if I don't get that in check, that could manifest in an outer war and an external war and an actual physical conflict. And that's just a small scale war. There's larger scale wars going on in the planet. But it
Look
really
at
comes
wars,
down
there
to
are no winners. There
Hmm?
are no
yeah,
winners.
exactly. There never is. There is no
No, both
resolve in
sides
war
lose.
ever. So
And Will, what is your resistance to doing that with him?
resistance to what, finding inner peace, do you mean? Or
Well, it's like you said, it's like, oh, I should see him for where he is as a human, as a being, as this struggle. It's like, oh, maybe I should be like praying for him, like all these, like sending him good vibes. And it's like, oh, what's the resistance to doing that? Because that reveals your attachments.
yeah, that's my inner wounding.
That is, it's just your attachment. And it's like,
Yeah.
who's the common denominator in all of these? You.
Yeah, exactly. My own inner frameworks.
You've built the structures, right? And now you're just trying to bring them down so you can build new ones. That's all we're doing. I can't tell you how long you got to be in it, though. That's your deal, not mine.
Yeah.
I've got my own shit.
Yeah, we got enough of that ourselves.
Right, yeah. We got our own version of it, man. We just think they're
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Mine's special. Mine's more important than yours. And it's like, oh, thank God I don't have yours. Will, like, thank God I don't, like, there's not, like, I've never been in that situation, so I have no advice, like, I can't help you in that.
Oh,
I can
lucky.
just look objective and like objectively, like, and compare it to like my worst, right? That's all. It, and when we do that, it's all the same. We all, like, he's in his patterns that he fucking can't get out of.
Yeah.
You and your marriage is in patterns that they can't get out of. Mine and my marriage is in patterns that we are, like, sorry, that we can get out of it if we choose to look at it. No one is teaching us that, though. That's what we do here.
No way. Yeah, you're definitely not gonna find a how-to out there. You might, but
That's what's so great about the campfire talk here. We get a lot of perspective.
yeah, awareness. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And release it. That's
Yeah.
all, like, that's how you let it go. Otherwise it stays there. You don't fight it, you don't kill it, you let it go.
Yeah.
And then when it
That's
comes up, you see it again. It's like, oh yeah, still
oh,
working
there
on
it
it.
is.
Still working on it. I guess there's something in here I gotta learn. And wonder, right? That's why my word is wonder.
Today
It
is
is
like one of those.
difficult to be in wonder.
Today
It's
is
not
like one of
easy.
those times when I tell other people about this talk. I say, well, be on this talk 2 hours with 5 right people. Well, it'll be a year of psychology you have to pay for to get the same result.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, conversations that your average human doesn't really have,
Exactly.
because it takes real courage to be honest enough with yourself to
Be vulnerable.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
That's
I
how
just
we
spent
get through
45 minutes complaining about my neighbor and all.
Well, I wouldn't
I'm
say
taught
it's
in the Bible,
complaining.
you got to love your neighbor. You know?
I wouldn't say it's complaining, Will. I would say you're just telling the truth as you see it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, cheese here.
hi, Chi.
Gee.
Hi,
Hi,
G.
everyone. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
listening. Yeah, I've been listening. I just want to say to Will that, man, I love you and I'm with you, man. It's, yeah, you're processing it. That's great.
Mm.
Thank you.
and you become aware of new possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Should write some of this down. Remind myself. Get to choose. Get to choose peace.
Mm.
Forgiveness. Acceptance.
Yeah, people are processing loss and pain and grief in many ways. You know, some they use anger, some they use isolation, some they use some get depressed, and but it's all a reflection of what they have inside. But that guy has a lot of internal chaos.
Mhm.
And the world tells him you need to own more material. They don't say you need to have clean material or new material. They just say material.
Mhm.
Yes, that remind me of John Lennon's song "Imagine." You can always imagine how we'd like it to be.
That's creating. Imagine how
Mm-hmm.
you'd like it to be. That's the start of
Mm-hmm.
creating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking the exact same. If you can imagine it, you can create it by
Yeah.
becoming it, being it.
Yeah. Like Napoleon Hill said, what you can uh, perceive and believe, you can achieve, or something like that.
Mhm.
With the mind of, well, he said man. With the mind of man can perceive and bring itself to believe, you can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
You know that song by Enya? It's
Mm.
the name of the song is May It Be.
Mm.
When you said that, she imagined how you'd like it to be. That's the song
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of popped into my mind. May it be.
Mm. Yeah. Keep working on it. Keep working on your hero's journey.
Yeah.
We all hero in our own journey.
You get to be a hero. You get to be a hero. We got 6
That's
heroes
the
here today.
attitude. That's the right attitude.
So tomorrow it's going to be, instead of good morning, it's good morning, heroes. How many heroes do we have with us here today?
We have the whole world because we're on YouTube.
Oh, I just pulled something together. Jesse's word of wonder, your word of hero. Isn't that Wonder Woman?
No, it's Wonder Man.
If you can believe it.
I may have been silent, but I've been listening the whole time. Anyways, with that, I gotta go. I didn't realize it was
Oh.
this late. It's been a great morning, gentlemen, and Cinderella as well. Mona Lynn's left already, so but have a great day, everybody.
Mm.
You
Thanks,
have a
Annette.
blessed
You
day.
too.
Annette.
Have a
Thank
Thank you
wonderful
for
day.
being here.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you
Thank you,
all.
Annette. Wonderful day.
You all have a blessed day.
Mm.
Love
Thank
and
you
hugs.
all.
Bye all.
Okay, bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.